An unemployed Trump voter who said they voted for Trump because he promised to kill Obamacare, but says he hopes Trump keeps his hands off the Affordable Care Act. I just voted for him because he's going to kill Obamacare. I am unemployed and Obamacare effing sucks. I'd rather just have the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, by itself instead of this communism shit. And then someone responded to him by saying, Obamacare is the ACA. It is literally keeping you alive. You voted to take away your health care. And then the original poster wrote back, quote, why the F do people have two different names for it?
It's so funny to see that people are now realizing Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing. It just makes me cackle. Because I worked in insurance when the flip over happened. And them people in Texas, when I say they used to call and cuss me out, I don't want this Obamacare.
Real quick, my team, I'm going to try to explain this delicately because we have brains, so this is going to be extremely hard to get. Imagine taking an open book exam and still failing it. No, because this is for you.
Hey fam, Gracie here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you my people are watching this from, you're doing alright and God has preserved you and protected you very well. And if you continuously give support to the channel, that really means a lot to me. So thank you so very much for your support to me on here. Now, as always, we do have an interesting episode to give our opinions and takes on. And I know that people are tired and done or with, this election drama, but you have to bear with us because I feel like some of these moments and episodes are eye-opening in a way that it exposes people and who they really are, but also it exposes a certain demographic of people that are following people blindly without questioning and doing their own personal research and educating themselves on the policies that their leaders are standing for. So I think today's episode is one of those that is literally exposing people that are literally racists. But you know how palm-colored people, you can call them anything else, but when you say they are racist, they don't want to, accept that they are. But I don't know if they can give a reasonable explanation of why they would be okay with getting rid of Obamacare, but they're saying they don't want Affordable Care Act or their Affordable Care to be tampered with. We all know that, the struggles of getting medical care in the US and how expensive it is. So in this episode, this is a palm-colored man who is unemployed and he's on disabled whatever benefits. And this guy he was excited and happy that Donald Trump was going to get rid of, Obamacare for reasons that are, known to himself. But of course, we can figure out it's not hard. It's not that difficult to figure out. But then this same person is like, we can get rid of that. I've been waiting for a day for that, Obamacare to be scrapped off. And he's like, as long as they don't touch my affordable care. And you should have literally watched how his jaws dropped when he got to know that what he's talking about as Obamacare is actually the Affordable Care Act. And that's what he's been benefiting from. But then he voted against it. And then in his ignorance, he's like, oh, why don't you guys label things differently? We have a video of someone talking about it. It was a tweet, but someone made a video about it. And we are going to look at that, but also look at the reactions of people literally educating these people on what Obamacare is. And it's like literally a got you moment for the Democrats because they're like, we've been explaining these things to you, but it's like someone put a spell on you that you don't want to know even when the facts are in front of your eyes. Let's watch this and come back and talk about it.
An unemployed Trump voter who said they voted for Trump because he promised to kill Obamacare, but says he hopes Trump keeps his hands off the Affordable Care Act, which he relies upon. Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. Here's what this guy wrote online. He wrote the following quote: I just voted for him because he's going to kill Obamacare. I am unemployed and Obamacare effing sucks. I'd rather just have the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, by itself instead of this communism shit. And then someone responded to him by saying, Obamacare is the ACA. It is literally keeping you alive. You voted to take away your health care. And then the original poster wrote back, quote, why the F do people have two different names for it? Obama equals bad and affordable equals good. I effing hate Democrats. Well, if you remember, it was the Republicans who branded it as Obamacare originally to try to scare people like you. Maybe your hate should be directed at those trying to take away your health care and not the people who are trying to actually save your life. How about that?
I'm sorry, man. This real life? This can't be real life right now. So I just saw the video of the guy who was saying that he voted for DT because he was going to get rid of Obamacare. He didn't like Obamacare, and he was voting to get rid of it. And he said he wasn't worried because he's unemployed, he's on disability, he's disabled, and he got his insurance through the Affordable Care Act. And when he said it, the guy was like, you know those are the same things, right? And the look on his face, I kid you not. So he spazzed it out like, why would you name them two different things? So the guy's like, you literally voted to cancel your health insurance, the thing you depend on right now. God, I can't believe, like, this is what I'm looking forward to personally. The lives that are going to come over the next few years. This is what I'm looking forward to. This is my silver lining, because the jokes are just going to write themselves over the next couple years. It's funny, but it's not funny. Especially, working in healthcare, working as a healthcare provider, I understand how important it is for people to have their insurance to be able to take care of themselves. But I'm sorry, the literal definition of voting against your own best interest. You have insurance through the Affordable Care Act, but you voted to get your insurance canceled. This can't be real life.
There's this American man who came on big social media and said that he voted for Trump because he wanted Trump to scrap Obamacare. Mind you, he's unemployed, right? And if anybody knows about the American healthcare system, it is privatized, which means that you have to pay for your treatments and they can be very expensive. Nevertheless, he decided that he was going to vote for Donald Cheeto, translucent wig wearing as Trump, because he wanted Trump to scrap the Obamacare and continue with the Affordable Cares Act. Not realizing that when Obama launched Obamacare, he made it clear that it was the ACA. The Obamacare is the Affordable Cares Act. So he basically scrapped his entire privilege of getting discounted or cheap healthcare. But that was not what behooved me. What behooved me was when the nigga found out what was I saying? Yeah. When he found out, bitch, that Obamacare and the ACA was the same thing. Hear this nigga. Why don't they label them different? The nigga started complaining that they weren't labeled different. Sir, they are the same. Yo, listen, I need to, good night.
It's so funny to see that people are now realizing Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing. It just makes me cackle because I worked in insurance when the flip over happened. And them people in Texas, when I say they used to call and cuss me out, I don't want this Obamacare. I don't want this Obamacare. And imagine me on the phone like, sir, it's not Obamacare. This is the Affordable Care Act. Yes, it is. It's called the Obamacare. They wanted to die on that hill. I tried to tell these people. I got called a nigger A full-blown nigger. Mind you, you can't even see me through the phone. But for some reason, they knew I was. And they was like, you nigger, I don't want that Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act, sir. I wish y'all would have listened when y'all called me back in 2011, because y'all wouldn't be going through this right now. You know what's even more crazy about this whole thing? You get more benefits with the Affordable Care Act. If it wasn't for the Affordable Care Act, half of y'all would not be able to get insurance because we have what is called pre-existing conditions. So just think about it. If they get rid of it and you had COVID before, oh yeah, you can't get insurance, Bookie. Or it's going to be real, real high to the point you can't even afford it. Yeah. So y'all better be thanking Obama or get a clue. One of the two.
So on today's episode of Trump Voters Had No Idea What They Were Voting For, this one is slightly more depressing than some of the others, I think. So apparently there's a big contingent of Trump voters who did not know that Obamacare and the ACA are the same thing. And I'm actually kind of surprised that, listen, I'm old enough to remember when the Affordable Care Act was passed. There was a lot of confusion. What is Obamacare? What is the Affordable Care Act? Yeah. If I ever heard somebody say that, like, I hate Obamacare, but I don't I don't dislike the Affordable Care Act, I would just have to tell them, hey, it's the same thing. And I figured we were past this. But no. We had people voting in the year 2024 who didn't know that these policies were the same thing. Like, whose fault is that? Who do we blame? Like, did Democrats not do a good enough job of explaining this? Did Republicans not do a good enough job? Did I not do a good enough job? Like, how did this happen?
It's so funny to see that people are now realizing Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing. It just makes me cackle. Because I worked in insurance when the flip over happened. And them people in Texas, when I say they used to call and cuss me out, I don't want this Obamacare. I don't want this Obamacare. And imagine me on the phone like, sir, it's not Obamacare. This is the Affordable Care Act. Yes, it is. It's called the Obamacare. They wanted to die on that hill. I tried to tell these people. I got called a nigger. A full-blown nigger. Mind you, you can't even see me through the phone. But for some reason, they knew I was. And they was like, you nigger, I don't want that Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act, sir. I wish y'all would have listened when y'all called me back in 2011, because y'all wouldn't be going through this right now. You know what's even more crazy about this whole thing? You get more benefits with the Affordable Care Act. If it wasn't for the Affordable Care Act, half of y'all would not be able to get insurance because we have what is called pre-existing conditions. So just think about it. If they get rid of it and you had COVID before, oh yeah, you can't get insurance, Bookie. Or it's going to be real, real high to the point you can't even afford it. Yeah. So y'all better be thanking Obama or get a clue. One of the two.
Health insurance sucks, but believe me when I tell you it used to be a lot worse. This tweet is on to something. Before the ACA/Obamacare, insurance companies used to be able to deny you coverage for pre-existing conditions, and there were a lot of pre-existing conditions. If you had diabetes or survived a heart attack in the past, you were uninsurable. Full stop, no insurance for you. HIV, no insurance. Beat breast cancer? Congrats. Good luck if it ever comes back, because we ain't paying. That was just life in America until basically 10 years ago. And if you had conditions like high cholesterol, asthma, or even hay fever, insurance companies would cover you, but they'd just jack up your premiums instead. And even if you were covered, insurers could just cancel your entire policy if you made the teeniest mistake on your application. And believe me, they would move heaven and earth to find any errors and deny you coverage. It's called rescission, and just like denying coverage based on pre-existing conditions, it's illegal now thanks to the ACA, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. The far right wants nothing more than to kill the ACA and let the free market decide whether you live or die. Last time Trump was in office, he made repealing Obamacare one of his biggest goals, and he failed by just one vote. There's no reason he won't try again, especially as Republicans in Congress have become even more MAGA, not less, in the 7 years since. More than 40 million people rely on ACA-related policies for their health care. We cannot let this happen.
You know, many people refer to Obamacare as insurance, but it is important to understand that the Affordable Care Act, ACA, or Obamacare is not actually insurance policy. Rather, it's just a federal law that regulates the health insurance industry and makes health insurance more affordable and accessible for Americans. So under the ACA, health insurance companies are required to offer essential health benefits such as coverage for preventive care, prescription drugs, and maternity care. The law also prohibits insurance companies from denying coverage to individuals with pre-existing conditions. In addition, the ACA established health insurance marketplaces where individuals and small businesses can purchase health insurance plans at affordable rates. So while the ACA is not an insurance policy itself, it has a significant impact on the insurance industry and has helped to make health insurance more accessible and affordable for millions of Americans.
While some of you are celebrating today, please remember that the other half of America is terrified. There are women terrified for their health. There are parents terrified for their kids' education. People are terrified of losing their health care. Minorities are terrified. Millions of good people who paid billions of dollars into this economy are about to get ripped away from their families. And how you sleep at night knowing you voted for the mass deportation of an entire population of good people to rip them away from their families says so much about you. So while you are celebrating, this would be a really good time to practice that compassion and empathy that so many people lack. You know, the thing that Jesus would have wanted? Because that's the reason you voted for him, right? And that's if you're even capable of having compassion and empathy at all.
Apparently, a lot of them are figuring out that ObamaCare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing, and they actually voted against their own self-interest. If you voted for him, you took away my health care. Not only did you take away my health care, you took away my ability to get insurance at all because I have pre-existing conditions. And that's just one of the minuscule ways you've affected people in this country.
Here's something Republicans don't want you to know about. It turns out that when my husband retires, we'll be paying less money for health insurance than we were paying under his employer's health insurance plan. You know why that is? Obamacare. A lot of folks don't retire early because they don't understand that Obamacare can possibly provide cheaper health insurance than what they're currently paying. And we know that in this country, health insurance is tied to your employment. What do I have to say? Thanks, Obama.
The spectrum of political knowledge needed in order to understand the current landscape that we live in is so vast and so complex, where we have one end, I would argue, of people not even knowing the difference between Obamacare and Affordable Care Act because they are, again, the same thing. People say, oh, I don't like Obamacare, get rid of that, but I don't want to lose my insurance. We have people who are voting for policies such as tariffs and not even understanding what a tariff is. Giving very much Brexit, giving very much, we're going to leave the EU, and I don't even understand, like, what benefits I get from being in the EU. Oh, I have a lot of benefits. Actually, it's going to be even worse if I leave. It's going to be even worse if we have more tariffs. I had no idea. And at the other end, we have them creating a whole new branch of government called the Department of Government Efficiency, being run by two people, very efficient there. That spells Doge, which will skyrocket, which has already raised the price of a very niche meme cryptocurrency. You're telling me that the 60-plus-year-old senators can even fathom or understand what Doge is and what all of that is going on behind the scenes? In one breath, we are going to have new millionaires based off of a small niche digital coin, and we have other people going to be losing their Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid because the greedy people don't want them to have health insurance.
So many of you want to hear me talk about addiction-related stuff and not political, but I'm going to tie the two together as far as, other reasons, regardless of you disagreeing with me, why I chose not to vote red. So when the Affordable Care Act was put into place, insurance was required to recover mental health and addiction treatment for the first time. My daughter was able to go to treatment as many times as she did in 4 years because of that mandate. The therapies that I'm getting, trauma therapy, is covered because of the Affordable Care Act. The therapies that everyone else is getting for their mental health is covered because of the Affordable Care Act. And not to mention, pre-existing conditions were eliminated. The Republican Party has made it very clear that they want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. I mean, and now they're going to be able to, right? They have control of the House and the Senate. And y'all know how I feel about addiction, corruption. But you're talking about now, are your visits for Suboxone clinics going to be covered? Obama couldn't even get the Affordable Care Act to where he wanted it to be. So the idea that Trump will be able to come up with a better plan, it's not going to be able to benefit the vulnerable populations that desperately need it. Healthcare should not be a luxury. It is a right. Everybody will need healthcare at some point. And this isn't about Trump or Kamala. I mean, it's not. Everybody wants to make it about that. Remove that from it. Look at Republicans and Democrats, all right? And if it wasn't for healthcare and it wasn't for reproductive rights, I probably wouldn't have even voted for the presidency, because I didn't vote the last two elections because I couldn't stand either candidate. But I couldn't support a party that wants to end healthcare for millions of people. I couldn't.
I could not contain it. In 2024, it looks like you cannot manage to be ignorant in peace, because before you know, knowledge will come seeking you out. And when it seeks you out, unfortunately, it's not going to be pleasant when you make discovery of what you have been fighting against, just like we have seen. Like I said, that these episodes really help to expose a lot of things, but also help people to just educate themselves on things before they just, make decisions like voting for someone. And it's very interesting how a lot of people, from all these videos that we have watched, those that knew about the Affordable Care Act, and when they heard about ObamaCare, they were like, I don't like that. It's like they hate the man so bad, but you have to ask yourself, what did he do that makes them hate him so much, to an extent that they would like to hate the act or the law that he put in place to help people be able to get affordable health care. We all know that the US healthcare system is messed up, and how it is privatized is really super expensive compared to, it really sucks compared to what other countries are like, compared to Europe. Even some countries in Africa, their healthcare system is actually better than the US. But again, it goes to show you that sometimes people, when they love someone, they will go for everything he's saying, because he was saying, I'm talking about Donald Trump, he was saying, Obamacare is very terrible. He literally wanted to get rid of it. I don't know if this time when he tries to get rid of it, I don't know if people are going to come out and fight. This same Affordable Care Act allows, children to literally share insurance with their parents. They can be able to get, health care on their parents' insurance until when they are 26 years old. Do you even know what that really means? So, I mean, I hope that people see this, and I hope that those that are supposed to be doing something, they do something about this, because this is going to jeopardize the already worsening or worse healthcare system in the US. You already have a lot of people that can't afford medical care. You already have a lot of people that cannot afford to buy prescription drugs. You already have a lot of this. The economy is already worse. Everything is expensive. And then you add on this, you scrap this. Now let's talk about people that are on disability, like that guy. There are so many people that are unemployed. They are not working because they can't be able to do anything. Think of the demographic of people that are on disability. They can't be able to do anything. And the only way they've been able to afford health care is through the You know, A.C.A. in 2024, nothing is going to excuse your ignorance. Your ignorance is going to cost you your life. I wish they were more open-minded when people criticize these policies, when people criticize some of these leaders. I think it's very important. I wish they could listen, because if you can't do your own research, there are others that have researched some of these policies, and you know, they will help you a little bit understand. You can take a bit of criticism and also just see and receive other people's perspectives, because at this point, it's not going to only affect, you know, the Republicans. This is going to affect all people. When it comes to politics, people become too sensitive that they don't want to hear any kind of criticism about these policies and about what these leaders are standing for, because if at all these people listened, they would question and they would literally taunt Trump and be like, do not touch this because this has been helping. Like, you've seen a lot of people are saying, you voted against my health, you voted against yourself, you're not going to be able to receive any benefits. If you are going to apply for any insurance, if you do have pre-existing, you know, conditions. Now imagine how many people in the US have pre-existing conditions with the COVID-19 and what it left behind, with people that have high heart, whatever, high palpitations, and like it literally left a lot of side effects in people. But what about people that have diabetes? What about people that have, oh my goodness, you just have to ask yourself, what about all of these people? What are they going to do? It is a worst nightmare for so many people that are going to wake up knowing that they can't be able to afford health care for themselves, for their children, for their disabled, you know, members of the family. It is interesting to see them getting their wake-up call. So my question to you viewers is, do you think that a lot of people have to do a deeper digging in some of these policies and some of the people that they voted for, now that we know Republicans, majority of them are in office? What are you guys going to do? And for the palm coloreds that voted for this man, I mean, other people also voted. Did you know this? And did you consider the impacts of your choices? Because things aren't looking good. The next 4 years are going to be such a beautiful ride for the people. Otherwise, my people, put your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe to the channel if you have not, and I'll definitely see you in another amazing video. My name is Gracie and I love you. Bye.